Welcome to Stitching Stories. I'm Michelle here from the Strand, and today we talk about socks, summer teas, and today's topic is knitting cast-ons. I'm glad you're joining me for this new journey. So let's jump into it. It's all about socks. So during December we did Sockmas and I knitted some stripy socks with self-striping yarn from Knotty Habits. I'm not going to show you those today because I showed them in a previous video. So today I'm going to show you all the other socks that I've knitted. As if I did a whole cupboard. Just one pair finished. So if I look over here, the computer is over here for me to make sure that I'm having the right pattern names because and then I'm sitting next to my round table, so all the projects are just here. I'll do my best to look at the camera. Okay, so this is a pair. Wait, let me show you. It's a real pair. It's a real pair finished, and this is the Pacific Coast Toe-Up Socks by, I think her name is Vilma. Let me just see quickly. By Vilma Becker. I will put down all the details in the description below. So this is a very nice lacy pair of socks. I knitted it with a 2mm needle in order to make the fabric a bit tighter than normal, and because this is lace, I was scared it's going to stretch out too much and then it's too big. But so this is beautiful, and I knitted the heel construction like this. As per the pattern, it's a toe-up pattern, but I just added the slip stitches here at the bottom of the heel as well, and not just the turn. My experience from knitting these socks are, it felt as if I was knitting forever, and I'm not sure, is it because of the 2mm needle or because of the stitch pattern, where I have to keep on counting the stitches to make sure I follow the pattern correctly. But more about that in my Buy Me a Coffee account. It is free content that you can go and read there with photos, with nice photos. Okay. The second pair of socks I'm busy with is the Austin Socks by Kay Moulton. That is the Crazy Sock Lady, right? And I'm knitting it in, wait, sorry, it's just stuck in the little baggie. It is knitted by African Express Soul, and it is, I'm looking for a colorway, but I don't think they do colorways. So it's knitted with these. This is how the yarn looks like, rolled up. I made two 50 grams because I knit my socks together. I did find that it feels a bit longer, but it actually is easier for me in the sense that it stays the same. It's not that the one sock is bigger than the other or something like that. So I just started with the toe up. I always do a Turkish cast on with the increases. It's for my son, so I started with much more stitches than I usually do, that it can increase quicker. And I think the pattern comes out very nicely. I think it focused good as well. It's very nice, I think. What surprised me about this yarn is that it does like micro striping. Let me show you the back. And I am enjoying that. Yeah, and you see I even use cheap needles to do it with, but it's fine. These are the 2mm needles. They're quite, compared to the yarn, they're quite thin. That's my second pair. I hope to have them done by the following video in February, and I will also do a little write-up of my experience of these socks on my Buy Me a Coffee account. The pattern is cuff down, so I am doing toe up. The stitch pattern, the decorative stitch pattern, is not impacted because I'm not going to give it away. I think it's a free pattern, so go and have a look. Okay, so that was socks. I've got my day sock here. It's still in the basket, full of other yarns and things. Whoops. And I want to redo it, but I haven't come to that yet. So I will show you and tell you how I've done it, because I did mention that I want to rework it, because I don't like the seam to be under the foot like the pattern is written. So I will just start at a different point, but I'll show you, I'll talk you through it. Now, if we can go into the summer tees. So Yalian from Made by Yalian is doing a make along. You can crochet on the summer tees, and I have this ranunculus, and I love it so much because not just for the color, but also for the thickness of the yarn. I don't have to layer it. I can wear it really just like a t-shirt, and it's warm. I won't be able to wear it in February. February is this month, yeah. I won't be able to wear it in February, but for today, and it's cloudy, it's perfect. I can feel I've got something on. It's not, but I can wear it to work as well. So I really wanted to do something like this when I thought about making another summer tee. And let me just make space here quickly. I came across several patterns, and I really didn't know what to do. So I've got gray yarn that I bought from, sorry, I'm just stretching to get hold of it. And now this ball is not attached. It is from Yellow Cottage yarns, and it's grays, and some of them are barley and some of them are morning something. I'm sorry, I can't remember the color, and the colors are very similar. It was a clean out sale, so it's not all the same batch, and I knew that when I bought it, so that is not the problem. The problem is, in my mind, I only have these balls and I cannot go and buy more. So the yarn chicken thing is like, you're going to lose, you're not going to have enough yarn. It's driving me nuts. So do I carry on? Don't I carry on? Let me show you what I've got. So the pattern that I'm doing on this one is a drops design. It's Lavender Charm top. I'll put down the details below, but let me show you what I've got. It nearly looks like, to give you a visual idea, it nearly looks like the magnolia patterns with the flowers on top that is coming down. Sorry, it's just stuck here. And I am doing helical knitting, so I've got 2 balls running. This is the first one. I've started with the second one, and the one that I showed you earlier is number 3. And if you notice this, let me talk about this first. So I've got these stitch markers from Naughty Habits. You can see it's got a little number 1 on it. So The three ladies of us, me, my mom and my daughter, sat together and we packed the yarn in a gradient way, and we marked them with these stitch markers. So that's what you see dangling, and that's the purpose of that one. And all of them have a little marker on. Okay, so that's the wrong side, this is the right side. I wonder whether you are able to see. So there it's starting, you can see it starts to open up. So it's got two connections like this, let me see. So that's the first split, then it's got a second split, and then on the third split it starts to do the lace flower. It's really very nice. Of course, Michelle loves the wrong side too, but I will continue, I will not give up, and if I need more, I'll ask her to give me more. I'll at least carry on till after the split of the sleeves, and then see how much I've got left, and then I will order more yarn from her to make sure that I've got enough, because I think it will be a nice top. It's also a double knit yarn, and it's 100% pure cotton. Maybe I must fit it, hey, maybe I must put it on quartz first and just fit it and make sure it's not getting too big. Okay, because that way, if you knit something and you knit it a bit oversized, you can use more yarn than you would expect. So just a tip, especially for us ladies that sits a lot. Sometimes you have to take your upper breast measure, in other words, going under your arm above your breast, like through here, and take that measure to say this is the size garment I want to take, because this is the size that we are over here, and then see what is your bust size and make sure that you increase later on in the pattern to be able to reach that size of that number of stitches. That's what I do these days. Okay, sorry for the crinkle, just going to move that out of the way. The last garment that I want to show you is, because of this yarn being so nice, I thought, okay, let me see what colors I can get. That is this. So what yarn is this? This is Handknit 50/50. So it's 50% cotton, 50% acrylic. I think so. It's 50 gram balls, just like cotton. And I selected two colors. Maybe I must show you the pattern. No, let's see. I took a grey, but you see it's like a brown grey, a warm grey. And then I put pink with it. And the reason why I put the second color with it is because this pattern, sorry, it went closed and I can't see the pattern name. It is the Brill boat neck tee. I'll put the details down below, and it is a premier pattern. So it's a company just like Drops, who have designers that design stuff for them. And this is a very nice summer tee in my perspective, because especially if you're using like self-striping yarn or yarn that is going to make stripes, in my mind, it does not always look well if you've got horizontal straps, because they say it makes you wider. I don't know. So this one, you're knitting only the yoke portion, you're knitting over the shoulder like this, so you go from cuff to cuff, and this is what I've got so far. Let me just put them together. Yeah, you're knitting flat, eh? Because you need to pick up the stitches from for the front and back. So I did, can you see there's a port in there? Did I do a provisional cast on? No. What did I do? I did a Turkish cast on. Then I knitted all the stitches, that all of them is real stitches, not just wraps. Then I knitted one row on the one needle once more, and then I pulled the cord through the other side. So now I've got real stitches waiting for me to carry on to see how long I will do the sleeve. But this is the beginning. I'll show you. So this is the beginning, this is the sleeve portion, and this is where the body starts. So these needles just want to poke me. So I think I am there already at the collar. So I'm going to follow the pattern now to see how to do the collar. I think you knit the back and then you come back and knit the front, and then you join them together and you knit on that side. It's just what makes logic sense for me. I haven't read the pattern. The pattern is for fingering yarn and not for double knit. This is a double knit yarn, so I have to like figure out number of stitches, and also the row count and stuff is not the same. Luckily the pattern shows everything in inches, so you can measure. And remember, you've got those very nice, oops, I'm making noises here, measuring tapes where you've got centimeters on the one side and inches on the other side. So now it's no longer a converting story that I have to do. Yay, I'm so glad for that. Okay, that is all that I've got on my table. Please stay tuned for the topic of the day. So this month's topic is knitting cast-ons. So I did a document. This document is compiled by myself. I did the research myself. This is not a tutorial, but I do give the links and everything at the end of this document so that you can go and look at the tutorials. Okay, so if you scroll down, you will even see there's a table of content. And if you click on it, while it's a PDF document, electronic document, it will actually take you to those areas. But first, let's start with the purpose of this document, because I don't want you to think it's one thing and then it's not. It's not a tutorial. It's merely a summary of all the knitting cast-on methods I could find. And please see the list of resources at the end of this document. This is where I got my information from, and a huge thank you to those people for sharing their knowledge and their skills with us as knitters. I found it very interesting to see all the different methods of cast-on. Some methods are very similar. So when you do look at the demonstrations or the tutorials, you need to look carefully to see the differences, especially when you can do a plain cast-on or stockinette cast-on and a purl cast-on on the same method. Then I also found that some people call the same method different names. What I did here is I named it as the first resource introduced it to me, but I could have added some tips or notes from the other sources. I divided the cast-ons into two methods, groups, if I can call it like that. Those that you use your left hand for, and those that you use needles. So I call them hand cast-ons and needle cast-ons. Just to make it easier to speak to. Then in the document, you will see that there's a table, and the table column headings. I just want to take you through that to make it a little bit easier for you to understand what I mean when you see the table. And I think I need to go to the next page to show you what. There we go. So before we go into the detail, let's just talk about the headings of the table that I'm using. So the method is the cast on name. Plain or pull is whether this method can cast on stitches for plain and pull stitches. Oh, by the way, plain means stockinette. Then whether the cast on is stretchy or not, yeah, I will take it from the person who is doing the tutorial and not my personal judgment, because I haven't used all of these methods and I have never knitted all of them and compared them myself. So this is just on what the tutorials mentioned. Then I also put in a comment to say how is the yarn wrapped, and something that stood out for me during the demonstration. After each table, you can see there's quite a few of them. I've put down some tips. Don't worry, I will take you through the table content. Okay, so the first group is the hand cast-ons, where you use your left hand. So the first one is a single, or also called a backward cast-on. It can be used for stockinette and pull stitches or plain and pull stitches. It's very stretchy. The yarn is wrapped around your thumb only. With a cast-on row, if the cast-on row is too tight, it will make the second row extremely difficult. The person who made the tutorial really struggled to pick up those stitches to be able to knit them. So, so your cast-on row needs to be super in order for you not to struggle on your first knitting row. Then you get the German twisted cast-on. It is perfectly for plain or stockinette stitches. It's stretchy. The yarn is wrapped around your hand with a slingshot method. Now, what do I mean by slingshot? It's very similar for you to help you to visualize this. It is very similar to how you would wrap the yarn around your hand for a long-tail cast-on. That's also called the slingshot method. The cast-on, so the German twisted cast-on method is actually, it represents two rows. It casts on row and your first knitted row. So it's like a 2-in-1. Then we get the long-tail cast-on. I'm sure most people know how to do this. You can cast it on for plain and pull stitches. It is stretchy. The yarn is wrapped around the hand with the slingshot method, and the first knitting row should always be a pull row. Then you will have perfect in pattern cast on, and it will look so nice, so nice. Then we've got the Italian cast on method. It's for pull and plain stitches. It's stretchy. Again, it's around the hand with the slingshot method. No, it's not the same. The cast on is designed for a 1-by-1 ribbing. So, and then you have to remember to knit the first row through the back loop. Okay, so we usually put the needle in to catch the front loop. So the first row on the Italian cast on is through the back loop. Then we've got the tubular cast on. It's pull and plain stitches. Again, you need to watch carefully to see the differences between these two. It is stretchy. It's a form of the Italian cast on, but the next two rows are used as setup rows. You actually slip the pull stitches here, and it's also used for double knitting. So I didn't Google or research methods of double knitting. I might add that on a later stage, but tubular cast on can also be used for that. Then we've got the Julie's Magic cast on. It's not stretchy at all. It's also a variation of the Italian cast on. It's mostly used for socks when you start with the toes. So you've got your 2 needles and you use, and the yarn is wrapped in the hand with the slingshot method. So, and there's a way to get those stitches onto the needles. Then you've got Jenny's stretchy cast on. It's for plain or stockinette stitches only. It's very stretchy. Again, you do it around your hand with a slingshot method. You make a sling. You're actually making a string, of slip knots. But you have to manually manage the space between the 2 stitches or between the 2 knots. So it is very important to do that measurement to keep them the distance the same, to keep them even. And it's also used when you start with socks, but you start with the cuffs, or you do a neckband that, like a turtleneck or something that needs to be very stretchy, or a shawl. Okay. Then some tips. I've got some tips here for the Longtail CastOn. The question is always with the Longtail CastOn, how do I make sure that the tail is long enough, that I don't run out of tail yarn before I've got the required number of stitches on my needle? So on the first item, I've put in a calculation that's not too difficult to do. So you cast on 10 stitches. Then you put your fingers at the end and the beginning of those 10 stitches, remove the needle, pull the yarn and unravel it, measure that distance. So let's say that is 20 centimeters. Then now you can calculate the length you require for your cast on, for your number of stitches required. So let's say you need 120 stitches. You will take that, divide by 10, because your test was for 10 stitches. And then you will multiply that by the 20 centimeters, or the length of the string for your 10 stitches that you did in the first point. And there's your mathematical sum. Okay. Or you can just use 2 skeins of yarn. Use the one skein as your tail and the second skein as your primary yarn or your main yarn, and there you go. How easy is that? I choose that option, hey? So much easier. Then it is also to make it more stretchy, because sometimes the Longtail CastOn could be a bit tight and it will pull it down like a sad face. So you can use a bigger needle, or you can even hold 2 needles on top of each other to make the CastOn, to have the stitches bigger. But you can also do it, there's a different way in doing it. They call it the 2 needle CastOn method. I have not researched this. You are welcome to Google that and see how it will work for you. And they say that is super stretchy. So I can just think, maybe, I hope it doesn't make loops. But yeah, okay. So there's the words. I don't have pictures for you on this one. Then there's also 2 other ways that you can do the Longtail CastOn. You don't always need to wrap it around your hand like in a slingshot method. You can also use your thumb. If you're interested how to do that, just go and Google it on YouTube. There is a specific video just showing that for you. So those were the hand cast-ons. Now we're moving on to the needle cast-ons. Again, I've got the table, the same table, so I'm going to proceed. We've got the knitted cast-on, which is mainly for plain or stockinette stitches. It's not stretchy. You use 2 needles are used, and there are 2 ways to put the yarn, the stitch, the yarn, onto the left-hand needle, and that will determine whether it's a plain stitch or a pole stitch, if I remember correctly. The thing about the knitted cast on, it does leave little eyelets at the bottom, so it might cause your cast on to flare because your knitting piece might be a bit tighter. So just pay attention to that. And then it's the perfect way to add stitches later on in the project because it will be that same tension that you're using then. The second one that we've got here is a provisional cast on. It's for stockinette or plain stitches only. It's not stretchy. It's also used, there are two methods in doing this, and both are done with a crochet hook. But in the demo, they also showed how you can use this particular method to do a beautiful double folded seam by doing knit two together and your yarn overs. It's really very nice. I think I used it once for socks, for a sock hem. The same look, but not this is a cast on, so I didn't use this method to do it. But if I think about this, you can also maybe use this method for a double cast on if you wanted to. Yeah, okay, I'm going to leave you there. Maybe I'm talking nonsense. Let's carry on. Then we've got the cable cast on. This is the method that I always use. It's not stretchy. I tend to disagree with them because it's not that it's not stretchy at all. It does give a little, but yeah, okay. It's not like Jenny's Magic cast on. It's not that stretchy. And you use two needles to do that. So the difference between a cable cast on and the knitted cast on, you pull the new for the new stitch, you put the needle through the previous stitch in order to pull it like you would do knitting. With a cable cast on, you put it in between the two stitches and then put it on. There's also alternating cables which you can use for plain and purl stitches cast on. This one is a bit more stretchy, and this is specifically done for ribbing. But the difference is very small between these two in order to enable the purl stitches. We've got a lace cast on for plain or stockinette stitches. This is quite stretchy. It's also a form of the cable cast on, so when you look at the demo, just look carefully for the differences. And here you're adding a reverse yarn over between every cast on stitch. Okay, so I'm just leaving you there with that visual quickly. Then we've got the Turkish cast on. This is the one that I use for my socks because I always start with the toes, and you use two needles, you put them next to each other. I always do the slip knot to start off with, and then I just wrap the yarn around both needles for so many times I need stitches. That's an easy one for me to do. Then you get the I-cord cast on. This one, there's also two methods about this. I've actually put it in the tips below, but I can tell you quickly. The one method is where you do the I-cord as you pick up stitches, and the other one is you're picking up stitches from the I-cord. So when you do the latter one, just pay attention to the tension because our stitch width and our stitch length is not the same, and that might cause your knitting to flare out. So this I-cord cast on is mostly used for shawls. Then they showed us a peacock cast on that was quite beautiful. You can use a knitted cast on or a cable cast on. In my mind, it will work too. So you cast on, let's say 5 stitches, and you decrease or you cast off 3 stitches, and then it creates a little picot edge there. I think it's very nice to use that when you want to do a summer top or a little dress for a young girl, or yeah, it can give just that little bit feminist look to something. I don't know. I like it. Then we've got a very strange one. So this one is purely for the advanced knitters. So if you see yourself as an advanced knitter, go and look at this cast on. The Chinese waitress. She got me lost. It's for stockinette stitches. It's very stretchy. You use 2 needles, but the yarn is not knitted. It's wrapped between these 2 needles. And no, the needles is like a cross. It's like an X while you're wrapping it around. But the end product has the most beautiful braid at the bottom. It's really, really so beautiful. Go and look at this one. Okay, let's see what tips do I've got. I've got tips for the cable cast on. So how to get rid of that knot. Okay, because sometimes when you do a cable cast on, you don't start where the slip knot was tight enough with, and then the knot will drop a little bit, and that will make your work unneat. So what you do is you pull your needle through that the slip knot, in other words, your first stitch is is your first stitch to knit. I hope that makes you can understand what I'm saying here. And then you actually unravel that knot and carefully, and you tuck it a little bit, and you can then make another knot if you want to, or if you knit in the round, just pick up that stitch and start knitting. It will be good. Then on the knitted cast on, sometimes it's difficult to get that very sharp 90-degree square ending in your work, especially when you do a cardigan. You don't want the tips to be round. You want them to be like square, 90 degrees. So pull through the last stitch. But before you place it on the left needle, do a yarn over from the bottom up on the right needle. Now there are 2 stitches on the right hand needle. Lift the cast on stitch over the yarn over. So you do like a nearly like a SSK, a slip knit, nearly like that. And place and please and place, wrong word, so sorry about that, and place it on the left needle. This will create the base for the last stitch. So now your last stitch is supported and it will not pull up into your next row. So that will make the big difference. And then the cast on, the I-cord cast on, I did speak about this already. So if we scroll down to the last page, it's all the resources, and I've looked at YouTube videos from Nimble Needles. He actually has a quick video about all 10 methods. Then he also mentioned that on his channel, he's got a slow motion or slow videos and showing you his 10 methods that he has spoken about. We've got more than 10 above. Then I looked at the Nerdy Knitting. She has a few new variations of the cable cast-ons, and she also used different names to what Nimble has used. You can look at her video there. Then I've looked at Hands Occupied, and she explained the Jenny Stretchy cast-on and also the Chinese Waitress cast-on, and here are the links for you to see. Then I also have a book. I bought it from Takealot. It's called Knitting Bag of Tricks by Patty Lyon, and she's got quite a few very interesting demonstrations and in the book we call it illustrations of knitting and how to read your knitting. I can really recommend this book. I will surely have more little pieces taken from this book into the future documents. So I want to thank you for your support and listening. I will publish this particular document. I will fix up that word please to read place. And then I will print this document to PDF. I will upload it into my shop on my Buy Me a Coffee website. You can obtain the link via Linktree, just like you found my YouTube. So, okay, cool. Thank you very much. And if you like to have more content like this, please like and subscribe my YouTube channel. If you are interested in other topics, let me know, and then I'll see what I can do. All right. Thank you. Bye.